Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome once again to Ed's Orchids. In this video I'd just like to do a short, brief story on phragmipediums. Now, as you know, Phrags come from what they call the New World. Now, to me and you, that's sort of Mexico down to the middle of South America. That's where they come from. Whereas all the other slippers, like the phragmipediums, come from Asian countries. What do we talk about first? Well, how about the compost we put them in? Well, to my mind, phragmipediums are the easiest plant to grow. I've never come across anything easier, and they will grow in anything. You don't need to mess around with the stuff you put them in. They'll grow in rock wool, they'll grow in bark, they'll grow in gravel. I think it's Rick who grows them in river rock. They'll grow in anything at all, providing that you flush them quite often. You see, you can mix anything you want into your gravel, which will be fine for the frags, but be careful, because if the mix is wrong, you might get pockets of water actually in the gravel. And if you don't flush regularly, these pockets of water will become stagnant and they'll develop bacteria and fungi, which, as you know, isn't good for the plants. So I can't emphasise enough the importance of flushing, especially if you feed a lot, which I don't. Now we'll come on to food, or feed, or fertilizer, whichever you prefer to call it. And as you know, I've been using fish blood and bone with a teaspoonful sprinkled on top twice a year, mainly November and May. You've got to be careful when you're sprinkling it on top. Make sure it is sprinkled on top and it doesn't go on in a big lump, because if you go on in a big lump and then flush it through, that big lump will soon develop into a fungus. But don't worry about it if that happens. Just lift it off and sprinkle a bit more fish blood and bone in that place. That's all you need to do. Now, I don't use any commercial feeds whatsoever. Commercial feeds for orchids, that is. You can go to any garden centre and buy things like Tomerite, Phostrogen, anything like that, and that'll be fine for your phragmipediums, providing you don't overdo it. Now, I know some phragmipedium growers use a TDS meter at 1,000 parts per million. They get some beautiful flowerings, but all the leaf tips are all burnt and black and one thing and another, and that I don't like, because I like the leaves. I think they're just as important as the flowers. Now we come to the light. Flowers require a good light or plants require a good light for flowering. But you'll only get this in the summer. In this part of the world, it's very dark. I mean, it's pretty dark now. I'm going to have to put some lighting on in a bit. But the lighting that a frag needs is get something similar to a cattleya lighting, which it'll like, but also it'll grow well in a diminished light of phalaenopsis. And there again, a lot of phalaenopsis in the books, it says they grow in low light, but I know people who grow phalaenopsis in bright light. So don't bother too much about the light they're getting. You know, the more thing is to bother about heat. Now, they do like a nice warm heat, a nice intermediate heat. Not too hot, not too cold. If you get them too hot, the leaves get too hot. And if they get too hot, the leaves won't grow. They just stop growing. You know, it's like if they get too much light. The more light a plant gets, the more watering it needs, because the pure metabolism of the leaf working quicker, and with the air passing over, you know, they dry very quickly. I'm forgetting the subject now, aren't I really? As you know, Phrags need good, clean water. Either RO water, rainwater, or if you've got soft tap water in your tap, that'll do nicely. But they do not like very hard water. Rainwater, super rainwater is acidic. No matter where your paths grow, they'll be always in acidic rain. You know, and the roots of Phrags are always in running water. You know, if they grow by the side of streams or waterfalls, the roots make their way to where the water is running. If they grow on the rock faces and things like that, they'll be where the water is running down the rock and over the roots. And this is why I flush a lot, because I try and make the system work like it does in the wild. I know it's impossible, but try and keep that water running over the roots as often as you can, and you'll have a lot of success. Well, I think I've cleared everything up now. If I've missed anything, please come back to me on the channel, and I'll answer as many questions as I can. But so nothing now remains more but to have a look at a few Phrags. If you remember, it was about, I think it was early February, I did an experiment on a Phragmipedium cavacii that wasn't doing too very well. It was really floppy and one thing and another. So what I did, I got all the ingredients, which is shown on that video, and I potted it up like that just to see what had happened. Well, here it is. It's making two nice growths, all nice and firm and standing up, one there and another one here with some little ones coming up in between. Now I'm going to unpot this now, but I'm going to pot it up again in the same stuff, because it's only been there since February, so that's right. But we want to have a look at the roots to see how they're going on. So let's have a look. With Phrags and paths, you can repot them anytime you want. You won't disturb them. Well, you'll disturb them, but it won't be detrimental to the growth. So see if we can get this out of the pot. And I hope the roots are okay. Oh, dear. Come on. It's only been in since February. Ah, there we are. There we are. Some beautiful roots there. There's one or two gone soft, so we'll take them off. But apart from that, that's a pretty good root system. See all the nice tips growing there. So I'm quite happy with it. Oh, there's some soft ones. So we'll get rid of them. That's it. It's only natural for a plant to have these soft roots, because that's just the thing that happens to them. When they get new root growth, they get rid of the old ones. Just one or two here, very small ones, so that's it. Looks like I've knocked a good one off there by repotting, but never mind. Anyway, I'll put this back in, and that's been, so you can see the grow stones. I can't get these grow stones now in this country, I don't know why, so I'm having to start to use perlite a lot, which is still okay. So we'll just put this back in the pot, get to the right depth, and just repot it up. I watched Rose doing this the other day, and she was very good at it. If you've never seen Rose's Rambling Orchids, I think it's called, you You want to have a look at that channel. It's very good, and she's a lovely lady. A bit emotional, but that's not a bad thing. So I'm hoping this Cavacii will carry on growing as it is now and eventually bloom, because I've promised Rachel in Ireland that if I can get this blooming and I put it before the RH judges and get it awarded, then I'll give it a correct name of Josh. Might be a few years yet, but hopefully we'll be able to do it. Well, that's about it for that. So, well, the first frag I'd like to show you is this Cavacii hybrid. Cross between Cavacii and Bessi. Quite a big plant. Not a lot of growth on this plant. I think there's just 3. Don't know why, but it's flowering very nicely. It'll probably come on better once it gets really settled. Flowers are lovely. One there. It's had about 5 on altogether, but as you know, the Phrags, they always like dropping the flowers every so often and putting a new one out. That's Phragmipedium Fritz Schomburg. The only thing about the leaves on this, you see how they reflex backwards, and this is what the majority of Cavaciis do. Instead of having it nice and open like that, they just bend backwards after about 2 or 3 days. And this one hasn't done too badly actually. So that's Phragmipedium Fritz Schomburg. Here's a very nice plant of Phragmipedium grande. I have quite a few of these, and I think there's 3 or 4 in flower. I'll not show you them all, but this is a really nice plant, and I've just noticed and just staked it this minute. I've just noticed that it's got another spike coming up there. This is the one that it's got now. Two flowers on there, nice long petals, and more buds up at the top. This is another big plant. This is Phragmipedium Humboldtii. A lot of people, they might call it Warsawixianum, or they might call it Popowai, but I prefer the name Humboldtii. Many growths on it. I can't even count how many, but it's doing very well and should be beautiful when it flowers. I don't think this one has ever flowered. Oh yeah, it does. Flower from there, but I can't see any spikes coming up on this yet. But that's Phragmipedium Humboldtii. Phragmipedium Olaf Gruss, cross between PSCI and what is it? PSCI and Wallacei, is it? Something like that, anyhow. And you can see through the PSCI it's got these narrow strap-like leaves. This is a plant that in the wild, when they get the rains there, it's totally submerged in water. So that's another good reason for keeping them well flushed. That's Phragmipedium Olaf Gruss. Another nice big plant here, which is Andean Fire. You've all seen this in flower in my other videos, but not in spike at the moment, but I'm sure when it does, it will be very nice. This large one at the back, this large growth, is a new growth that I'm hoping it will flower from.